Welcome back. Today we're going to be doing 2024 reflections together. Now this is something that I have been putting off, and also I've been MIA for about the past 6 months, and I think that by reflecting on the past year that I've had, it will help you guys understand where I've been and also help myself kind of process everything. Trigger warning that I will be talking about anxiety and depression, so if that's something that may be difficult for you and you don't want to watch this, that's fine. Also though, I just want to say that if this is something that you struggle with, for me it was really helpful when I watched a video of somebody talking about depression for the first time, because it really resonated with me and allowed me to feel seen, because I had been struggling with it for a while without knowing what I was going through. So I just hope by doing this video that it will be kind of healing for me and maybe be able to help somebody else out there. So together, we're gonna kind of look at the mood board that I had created for 2024. I'm gonna look through my camera roll, and we're gonna look back between all of the different months in 2024, and I'm going to just reflect upon kind of the highs and lows of each month. Before I go on and kind of set goals for 2025, I think it's important that we look back on the year that we have had. And this year was not super easy, but it was filled with a lot of growth and progress in different ways. There was a lot of tears and low points as well. So kind of a whole roller coaster, as I'm sure a lot of you guys have experienced as well. So let's see where to begin. I'm gonna kind of bring this up a little bit closer, and we're gonna go over some of just my tenets, strong points of 2024. Okay, so 2024, I really wanted to focus on ease, happiness, just resting, reading a lot, having peace, being serene, traveling, still exercising, but kind of listening to my body and being peaceful. And overall, I think that this board really summarizes my 2024 pretty well. So we're gonna go through kind of month by month, pick things apart, talk about things that worked for me, things that didn't exactly work, in hopes that maybe something can be helpful. The board, I believe that I got at, where did I get this? I think at Target, and it wasn't that much money, maybe like $20. I liked it because I could see the size of it going in person as opposed to buying on Amazon or something. And then I ordered from Amazon just like a little booklet. If you type in, I'll link it down below, but basically just like mood board, I forget, I'll link it down below, but it came with like a book, and then I basically just cut out the ones that I liked and then hung them on here. And I will probably kind of update this. Overall, I'm actually pretty happy, and I might honestly keep most of this up for 2025. But we need to focus on reflecting first. So I want to just show you guys some things that helped me. This was my daily journal. This was really helpful. I wrote in this every single day. Just, I think, a staple in getting my thoughts out. This one was my journal that I brought with me to Italy. Now, my solo travel in Italy was really important in my self-growth this year, so we'll be getting to that. That was in the middle of the year in June, so this one was really transformative as well. And then just in terms of some different books, like I said, I had reading on there, and I did read 28 books this year. That includes audiobooks that I would listen to as well. But I just have 3 ones that are kind of like Bible studies as well. That was something that I really wanted to work on this year, my faith, and I think that these books really helped me. So this one, Jesus Calling, is a daily devotional. So just kind of little verses to focus on each day. I loved doing this, very simple. This one came out from somebody that I follow, Ashley Hetherington, and it was 100-day devotions for trusting God in your waiting season. This was also really helpful. So I did that the first 100 days of the year. Later on in the year I did like a 6-session Bible study, which ended up being a while, like several weeks of me doing this, but it was all about untangling your emotions. This also helped me a lot, especially with my feelings about anxiety and depression. So now let's kind of backtrack. I'm gonna pull up my camera roll on my phone and we're gonna reflect on all of the month's highs, lows, and just see where that takes us. All right, so I've got my photos up and it was actually really cute. I had to scroll to January and I remember that at the beginning of the year, I had started to do this like picture of the day. 2023, so going back the year before, I spent the entire year in a mental rut. My depression had hit really hard and I did not know how to get myself out of it. I didn't even know really at the beginning of 2023, I did not even know what I was going through until, again, I watched that YouTube video of somebody describing depression, and I was like, oh wow, that describes exactly how I've been feeling, and it helped me to just name what I was going through to therefore be able to make a plan to know, okay, I don't want to feel like this. How can I get back to feeling like myself again when I feel so far from it and in such a dark place? So 2023 was just dark, very hard, very challenging. We were still living in Puerto Rico at the time and I didn't have health insurance. So that was really hard because first I realized, okay, this is my problem, but I had no affordable means to be able to get the help that I needed. So when we moved back to New Jersey and I started teaching again, I got my health insurance again, and basically right from that moment I knew like, okay, I need to get a primary care physician. I'm in my upper 20s now and that had been something that I had kind of avoided for the middle years of my life. Also living in different states besides my hometown state, that made it difficult. So I figured, you know what, I need to find somebody that I like, who I want to share all of these like private details of how I'm feeling with. And I got really lucky. I really like my primary care physician and she immediately was able to recognize that I had anxiety and depression and was able to send me for blood tests and just recommend different doctors that I could go to and make sure that I would get therapy. So actually 2024 was the year that I started therapy. So that was super helpful. So going back to my reflections, so we're starting in January, and like I said, I had been doing a picture of the day, so there's just a lot of little pictures of Anthony and I, my cat, let's see. Oh, right, I met Daniel Radcliffe. I went to the city with my friend who lives in New York City, and she had gotten us, like through the raffle, the lottery, whatever system it is, tickets to The Lion King. So we saw that, and then on our way out, we saw this line forming. We went in it, and we basically got to meet Daniel Radcliffe. So I'll put that picture up here. I guess that was definitely a highlight for January. But overall, I want to say that my high point for January was just beginning therapy. That was really important. And the low point was that I definitely was still experiencing panic attacks. So despite taking steps in the right direction, it was still pretty hard. Now, depression can affect everyone everywhere, especially as I learned when I went to Puerto Rico, and somewhere that's so beautiful, and yeah, I had felt so lonely and dark, but it also is definitely hard when you live somewhere that is cold in the winter. So New Jersey gets really snowy, as I was reminded of here, and it can just be easy to isolate yourself. So that was something that I had definitely been doing, but was trying to get myself out of. So, you know, some wins, some losses for January. Let's go into February. More pictures of my cat. I had actually made my vision board in February, so I guess I had put it off. And this is kind of a reminder too that it's okay if you're doing these 2024 reflections or 2025 goals later than expected, as I am as well. Here's my classroom. Oh, we published a book. My 5th graders, they published a book. And that's February. So overall, it looks like there is nothing too crazy to speak on as well. One of my focuses was kind of peace and taking a break from being on my phone so much. So I really wasn't taking a lot of photos. A lot of the photos are actually just of like my students and different things that I would be taking pictures of, like flyers to send home to parents. So I don't actually have that many real pictures of these key moments, because one of my goals for the year was to just focus on being in the moment, which I loved. I really enjoyed that because in the world that we live in right now, it's just so common to go places just so that you can post it, take so many pictures so it looks like you're doing all of these fun things, but it really just separates you from being able to truly enjoy that moment. So this year I had really wanted to just be able to be in the moment when I'm doing things, and overall that's why I don't really have that many crazy photos. So my reflection for February of my high and low, I would say my high would be 1, making my vision board, and also Anthony and I, we started going to salsa classes. So that was something that helped me to get out of my rut of wanting to isolate myself, stay in. It was really hard at times because the classes would be at 7, 8 o'clock at night, but it was forcing myself to get out, and that was really helpful because every time that I was there, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was so much fun. So finding something that you enjoy, that's something that can be really helpful going into this new year. Anything else? 2024. Oh, I went to a plant shop. That's always fun. Lows, I want to say that definitely just still, again, experiencing panic attacks. So yeah, it was just hard. I remember just like the nights where I'd come home from work so tired. And even though I love my job as a teacher, I was working at a new school in a new role with 2 different grades, and it was a lot. And I would come home and be so drained, you know, outside of even just depression, and then I'd have to cook and I'd have to work out, and it just was hard. It was really hard, and I broke down a lot. So that would be another low for February. All right, let's get into March. A few pictures of myself working out, so that's good because that had been something that was really hard for me, was just finding like my love for working out again. And I think that I've been able to do that throughout this year, but there was times when I kind of just took a big step back, stopped forcing myself. In the beginning, I was definitely trying to follow like a very strict plan, and then I took a step back. I tried more like Pilates, more yoga, and kind of found a balance that I like. And I'm currently doing about 3 days a week, which looking back, like my previous self that would do like 5, 6 days a week, that probably seems crazy to me, but I'm so happy at doing 3 days a week. So March, oh, there's a little beach trip, even though it was cold. I had been saving rings, and no, I am not engaged. So that we're coming up to that part of things. I had taken pictures of my classroom, of Sombra. All right, so I wanna say for March, my highlight was taking a little trip, going down the shore. That is something to me that always makes me happy. So going places, and the shore from us is like a little over an hour. So during the school year, it can be hard to plan trips that are far, but doing things that are near you can be super fun. Okay, so honestly, it was a little bit hard to find something good in March, and I'm going to be very open and very vulnerable about probably the lowest point of my 2024. If not the lowest point, then definitely kind of the first big event in kind of a downward spiral that then lifts up again. So here we go. This was the end of March, and like I had said, Anthony and I had been doing salsa classes. They were at night, and I did have a lot of fun during them. But with depression, if you've ever experienced it, some of you guys will know that sometimes you really just feel like you cannot do things, you cannot move, you just feel like you have so little energy, so little to give. So there was one day when I got home from work and I instantly like laid down on the couch and I just felt so defeated. I didn't even eat. It had just been a long week at work. And long story short, I was not feeling up to going to salsa class. And saying this seems kind of silly, but what ended up happening involved my boyfriend, and I'm not gonna get into so much detail there, but basically the way that he had reacted to my my depression was really triggering for me, and I ended up going to stay at my parents who live like 20 minutes away from our apartment. That night I was really hurt, felt so lost, felt so confused, just felt really, really low. I was already feeling low, and then I felt like I had been kicked even lower. So that was really hard. That was March, and that really though made me realize like I can't keep going like this. I cannot keep living in this state of unhappiness and just constant stress, anxiety, overthinking, heaviness, just heaviness. And at this point I had been taking steps. Like I said, I was going to therapy and I had been seeing different doctors. And at this point, I want to say that I was trying a certain anti-anxiety depression medicine, but obviously it was not really helping very much. But I knew, okay, I need to get to really the root of this and focus on me. So that was March. It was a super low point, but it kind of helped me realize like, I need to figure this out. I can't keep going on like this. I've been like this for years and this is it. I need to figure it out. And obviously it doesn't work that quickly, but throughout this year, as we keep going on, I'm gonna kind of give you kind of some insights on what I did and how I'm feeling now. So let's go into April. April is my birthday month. We watched my mom. She ran a half marathon down the shore. That was really nice. And the highlight was that for my 28th birthday, my friends and I, we got a little Airbnb in Philly and we went out. That was really nice. Made me feel like myself again, even though like in my personal life, things were a little bit crazy. Anthony and I were working on things. I was trying to express my needs as somebody with a mental illness and trying to help him to understand what I was going through. So overall, it was really hard. But that was April, and it was really nice to spend my birthday with my friends. May, my 4th grade class, we got to go to Sandy Hook, which is a beach. So that was like a dream come true for me to be able to go with my students to the beach on a field trip. That was great. Let's see, anything else in May? Obviously, it was kind of getting close to the end of the school year, where my other classes, they published books. So a lot kind of related to work, and that's okay because we still want to find wins, even if that's kind of not really a personal win, but just good things going on in my classroom, because obviously, you know, your job is a big part of your life. And again, I want to say that those were the wins, but there were a lot of really hard days at work. So just kind of trying to celebrate the good things. So then we go into things that were difficult, the challenges in May. Things had continued to be really challenging between Anthony and I. I had my dream vacation planned to Italy in June. We were going there together, but we were still trying to figure things out, just basically, I was trying to figure out how to be myself again. And therefore, we were trying to figure out what that would look like for us. But the plan with Italy had always been that I was going for a week by myself to study, and then he would come join. So even though we were in a really like just what are we doing type thing in our relationship, we did end up going. So I guess this is now bringing us into June. But basically May was just a lot of like confusion and again, overthinking. But at this point, I had started taking the medicine that I'm still on now, and we had been playing with doses and everything. So things were still not great, but I was still taking these steps to try and get better and figuring things out, still going to therapy every week. So those things, being consistent in doing that, like I had said, being consistent in reading my devotionals every day. Oh, there goes my cat playing. That was really important for me. Okay, June highlight was by far my trip to Italy. It was so beautiful. Obviously, I have a whole vlog on that, so you could go and watch that. Ending the school year is also a huge win. And actually, I had left for Italy the day that the school year ended. So that was crazy, but a lot of fun. So that was my high, is Italy. A low, again, to be very vulnerable, was that when Anthony had come to Italy, it was, you know, the trip that I had always dreamed of, but we still were not in, I think, the best place mentally. I had felt, though, when I was there by myself, very much like myself again. I hadn't felt that for years. So to remember who I am at my core, how like free I am, it was really special for me. So having that week in Italy was just like transformative and being like, wow, I am happy here. Feeling just joy again was so beautiful and special. And even though it was like a little bit scary because I was feeling so happy and joyful, and that was something that I hadn't felt for so long, but being like, well, is it just because I'm in Italy? Like, will this last? Again, that's why I kind of journaled everything out in Italy while I was there, so that I could kind of remember like what it was like. And I think that, for example, one thing was just like I was spending a lot of time by myself. I was doing things by myself. I was eating by myself, which for me was like one of the first times that I had just taken myself out to eat. You know, you sit in a restaurant by yourself, and it was actually a lot of fun, especially because sto imparando italiano, so I got to practice. It was just a dream. But reality was, when Anthony came, it was a little bit stressful. It wasn't as easy and light as it had felt in our relationship. Like, it still felt like we're almost putting up this act. So that was hard. That was definitely the hardest part of June. Just the uncertainty of not knowing, like, are we gonna come out of this and stay a couple, or are we not? And this is somebody who I've been with for the past 3 years. I love so much, but that because I wasn't loving myself, it was really hard for him to be able to love me when I wasn't even loving myself at that point. So let's go. Now we're at the halfway point, and this is where things had been, again, kind of like a slow decline, and that Italy trip really helped me to kind of get out of my rut. So recommendation, just kidding, that's not the solution to everything, because then I had to do a lot of hard work when I came back from Italy. But going somewhere beautiful definitely makes a difference. And especially just taking the trip from work, just focusing on myself. And for me, that was my first time. I've traveled internationally, but I've always gone with the goal of teaching abroad. So it was like I was working, and this was my first time taking a trip internationally and actually just going for vacation and for myself, I was the student, I was not the teacher when I went to the school in Naples. So it was really just special for me to be able to do that, and for me to realize like, wow, I'm worth this. Like, I'm worth the money that I'm putting into myself. Beautiful. Yes. Okay, let's continue on to July. Again, this truthfully, there are not a lot of pictures in July. There's a picture of the beach. I feel so at peace at the beach, and I think that one of the things that I realized when I was in Italy is that I need to just spend time by myself, places that I love. So I just took myself to the beach, took my book, took my journal, and I sat down, listened to the waves. That was something that was really transformative for me in July. I also started reading this book, Feeling Good, that one of my friends had recommended for me. It's huge, but it's all about kind of getting out of your head when you have depression. And I had been putting it off because it was such a big book and putting it off. And I was like, I need to really dedicate time to read this every day. And that was really transformative for myself to realize the patterns that I had been falling into with my depression. And at that point, I had started using some of the techniques that they were teaching to write down how I was feeling. So when I would feel anxious, depressed, write down what I was feeling, and then basically to write the truth next to it. So to kind of talk back to these negative spiraling thoughts. So I think that's where the journal comes in, and also just I used my notes tab because, you know, a lot of times maybe when you're having these thoughts, it can be like late at night, you're just on the go. So writing them down in the moment and letting yourself hold space for that, but then recognizing like, this like does not need to fester. That's also where this book really helped out, untangling your emotions. So that was July, was a lot of the like deep work for myself. Anthony and I had I was staying at home at my parents' at that point, even though we still had the apartment together. So just kind of like taking space, each of us doing our own thing. At that point, he had started applying to police departments, which had been something that was a goal of his. So he was really focusing on himself. I was focusing on myself, my happiness. So different kind of avenues, but both kind of doing that. And for me, it was just like having peace despite the uncertainty around me, because Anthony is the person that I want to marry, but just not letting my anxious thoughts spiral and take over. Just being like, I don't know what the future holds, and that's okay. We don't need to. So that's July. Moving on to August. We had my friend's wedding in Philadelphia in August. That was super beautiful, and that was Anthony and I's first weekend, like spending the whole weekend together, since we had obviously lived together for like about 2 years. That was our first weekend back together, and honestly I was so happy. It was like we were two different people coming back together. We had also at this point, I want to say either late in July or early in August, we had kind of started like dating again, and things felt so good, so much healthier. Our communication was a lot better, and that had been a big thing. But it just felt like we were kind of restarting our relationship, that the original spark that was there, that had been lost for, you know, those first few months of the year, was back, and that we just felt so happy around each other again. And I think that he could see that I was not kind of like the same person, and that I was not having panic attacks. When you have panic attacks so often, oh my gosh, it is so stressful on your body. It is super stressful on your body. So I wasn't going through that anymore. I was feeling so much lighter. Yeah, it was just great. So we had slowly been kind of like dating again, and then Philadelphia was our first weekend together, and it was beautiful, and I was so happy. That was really a high. Low in August, then I want to say, and I forget if I said that in July, but it's just the work, doing the work that you got to do. But again, so I guess with August, it was just kind of the uncertainty of it all. And especially with our lease was up at the end of August, and Anthony at this point, like I had said, he had been applying to police departments, and he had started doing interviews, physical tests, written tests, everything. So he's now in this process, so there's a lot of uncertainty for him, because if he got in, then he'd have to go to the police academy, but neither of us really knew a lot about the police academy besides that 6 months. Some are you stay overnight, so it was just like, okay, our lease is ending end of August. Yes, I do want to live with him again, but I don't want to rush into it. So what are we gonna do financially? All of those things. That was kind of the tricky part, the behind the scenes of August. September started a new school year. This year I made the transition to ESL and I love it, I love it, I love it. I guess that would be probably my highlight for September. Yep, no other really notable pictures or anything from September. So it was really just nice to start the new school year and like want to go to work, to feel joyful again, because that's always how I've felt at work. But teachers know that burnout is really real, and I'm sure a lot of you in other professions can understand as well. So just the past year dealing with my own depression, it got really hard some days to be able to show up. And I think that was also what made it hard outside of school, because for me, like showing up for my students is so important. So it was almost like I was putting on this 8-hour show of like happy, joyful me, but not feeling like that on the inside. So I'd go home and I'd be so drained. So again, that goes back to the darkness of the previous months, but basically in September, just going back to school and feeling happy again. That was a high. Lows of September, nothing super, nothing really that I can think of. Obviously, in your job, you're always going to have some like ups and downs. And I realized that there were some things that were going to be different in this new role. And for me, it's just important for me to be an advocate for my students and to do that as much as possible. But I've realized too that I can't let myself overextend myself or let myself get so stressed out about my job. All I can do is advocate, and once I've presented my case to the higher ups, to the admin, ultimately it's going to be their decision about how things are handled. So I've got to have peace with myself of like, I've done everything that I can, no need for me to stress anymore, just let it go, let it go. That was really big for me for this year. October, let's see. Oh, October, the Mets game. Yeah. The Mets did really well this year, so my family and we all went to the game. I would not say that I am a huge Mets fan. However, my family is. My mom is a diehard Mets fan, so that was something that was really special to get to go to a playoff game with them. And then the next day, we went to Anthony's family. They had a vow renewal and it was like a wedding. It was just really beautiful. And again, it was nice to be with his family. And it was kind of the first time with all of them where we were feeling really solid together. So that was nice. We had fun, we danced, everything. I went on a hike. So overall, October was a good month. October was a good month. All right, so I was trying to think of some lows for October, and I wouldn't say that there was anything that was really low, but at the beginning of the year, this is something that I didn't mention, but I had actually gone off of social media. I got rid of my Instagram and stuff, which had been a big thing, and I was only really using YouTube to post content, and then obviously I dropped off from that about half a year ago also. And with that, I had kind of stopped using my phone a lot, but it kind of got to a point where I wouldn't respond to text messages, even if it was like, you know, simple to do, but there was something like, I don't know, it caused me to be anxious to respond to them. Like it felt like almost like an obligation. So I would say that that was something that was difficult and has continued to be difficult for me this month, November, and something that I want to be better about in 2025 is just being more responsive to my friends, because I would think about them constantly, but I don't know what it was. It was like this mental block that I could not like respond. I wouldn't want to be on my phone. I'd come home and just not want it. I'd want books instead. But I also realized that like the world that we live in, like, and especially with a lot of my friends that don't live right near me, it's important that I am responsive to them. So any of my friends that I haven't responded to, I'm sorry and I love you, and it's not you, it's me. So that's October. November, we went down to Maryland for Anthony's birthday, so that was a lot of fun. And then my friend and I, we went to Puerto Rico for like a 3-day getaway. I visited my aunt and uncle down there. That was beautiful. We stayed with them. Lots of craziness, ups and downs. First day we got there, there was no power, so it was like, wow, remember this? Remember when I did this every day? Yeah, but it was really nice. We got to take them out to dinner and stuff, and they don't get to do that, so that was really special for me. Yay, we're on our last month, December. What was I gonna say? Sorry, I had to change the stand. My other one died. I didn't even realize that it needed a charger, so that's great. Yeah, let's look at December, see a high and low. Last month of the year, I got to experience some of my students. It was their first snow. That was super special. I loved that moment. And also just, I see a lot of like cuddles with my cat. So just embracing that, yes, this is a cold season, but I love reading and I love my cat. I love being with my family. So it's just been like embracing that this is a season of like cuddling inside, kind of romanticizing things, romanticizing the cold instead of dreading it like I used to. We went down to Maryland for Christmas Eve with Anthony's family. That was really beautiful. And again, just feeling so like secure in our relationship. And then we spent Christmas with my family. So overall, it has been a beautiful month and overall a beautiful year. So even though there was a lot of moments of like darkness and hard things and tears and panic attacks, overall I'm really thankful for where I'm at right now. Yeah, just I hope that this can kind of give you hope if you're in a dark spot, that it's okay and that like it's not too late for you to help yourself as well, but that it's really important that you kind of like take a step back from the busy pace of the life that we all live and just focus on like healing yourself. The other day I was at dinner with my friends and they were all going around like saying like, this is what I did this year, like all these big accomplishments. One of them finished grad school, another one got like a new job. And I was like, I just was battling my depression on a daily basis and I feel joyful and happy for the first time in a long time. And that to me is such a win. So it's not like this is something that on paper looks super crazy, but I'm so happy with myself, where I'm at right now, and I'm looking forward to 2025. I'm looking forward to starting it strong and being able to keep that energy up all year long. So that was my very long 2024 reflection. I hope it will give you a little bit of courage to go back, think about your year, maybe pull up your camera roll. I think that that's a good way to kind of remember the things that you did, some highlights maybe, and just the little things that you did along the way as well. Think of something good each month, maybe something challenging if you want to think about that too, because that can also help you to make those goals for 2025 then, on things you want to stop doing, things you want to do more of. I want to do more things that I enjoy. I really like painting, so that's something that I'm going to challenge myself to do more of this year. And I want to travel some more again, probably a little bit by myself too. I think that that really helps you to kind of figure out who you are. Thank you so much for watching and allowing me to be open and vulnerable and honest with how this year was. I hope that it kind of explained, you know, where I've been the past few months. I've really just been prioritizing slowing down, relaxing, focusing on myself, so that's why I haven't been producing any videos, and we'll see into this new year what I continue to make videos on. I just want to focus on things that make me happy, that bring me joy. So if that's recording more workouts and editing them, then I'll keep producing that content. Hopefully I'll get to have some travel content in there, and just doing things that I like. So we'll see what that entails. All right, I guess I already said that. So goodbye, thank you. I hope that you guys have a wonderful 2025. I'll see you around.